Hi, I'm Roca Cruz, and this is Be.Live. Be yourself and live your purpose. This is another summary of episodes 11 to 20. The healing trauma responses and finding identity. You know, the summary is done by our friends from Google Notebook LM. It's an AI. So I put all the episodes there from 11 to 20, and they did this awesome summary podcast style. And I want you to listen to it. And if you like it, please go back to the episodes and listen and share it with a friend. So again, here's the healing trauma responses and finding identity done by our friends from Google.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into something foundational, the invisible architecture that kind of governs so many of our choices.
Yeah, we're talking about those 4 core psychological trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn.
Exactly. And these aren't just, abstract ideas. They're the survival systems that, they kept us safe once, maybe.
They absolutely did. But the tricky part is how they often block our path now. They get in the way of authentic connection, of finding our real purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? We want to help you have those aha moments.
Right.
To reframe how you see yourself, it's about understanding these behaviors, the fawn, freeze, flight, fight not as like personality defects or moral failings.
Which is so easy to do.
It is, but seeing them as highly effective survival strategies your body wired in when it genuinely needed them. That's the key.
So understanding why you procrastinate or why you end up people-pleasing again.
Or why you just shut down sometimes. That understanding, that's the first step. It's essential for unlocking real growth.
Okay, so let's start with maybe the quieter ones. Beginning with fawn, that classic people-pleaser response.
Mm-hmm.
This one's sneaky because it looks like being nice, right?
Yeah.
Generous even.
It really does. But the source material is clear. This is survival. It's fear making you shrink your own needs or say yes when every part of you is screaming no.
Mm.
And what's fascinating, really, is that core belief driving it. It's this deep down idea, if I make you happy, maybe I'll be safe.
Wow. So it's like a transaction based on anxiety.
Exactly. It looks helpful on the outside, but the engine, that's fear-based compliance. That's not genuine, expansive compassion.
And the cost.
Mm-hmm.
You end up constantly shape-shifting to keep the peace.
And you lose yourself in the process, totally.
Okay, so if fawn is about managing danger by pleasing, freeze is kind of the opposite. It's about managing danger by, disappearing.
Precisely. And on the outside, we often judge people who freeze. We see them as lazy or flaky, maybe avoidant.
Yeah, I can see that.
But that judgment, that's where the real pain is often missed internally. That person is completely overwhelmed. They're disconnected. They genuinely feel like they cannot move forward.
So the system is basically decided.
If I stay still and quiet, maybe the danger will just pass me by. And you can see how this is maybe the biggest block to purpose, right?
Because you need movement for purpose.
You do. Making the call, writing the line, sending that email, it all feels impossible in that state.
The examples you mentioned are just so relatable. I think everyone feels a bit of that freeze sometimes, when you see an email subject line that just feels heavy.
Oh, absolutely. Or staring at a text message for ages, wanting to reply, but just not being able to.
Yeah. Or procrastinating on decisions you actually care about.
Mm-hmm. Or just zoning out when things get intense. That feeling of being tired, even when you know you've slept enough, that can be freeze too.
Where does that usually come from?
Well, our sources often point to it starting young, in environments where showing big emotions or speaking up. That led to unpredictable reactions like criticism or punishment.
Okay.
So your body learned a really powerful lesson back then. Freezing kept me from getting hurt. And now, that response is a default, even if the threat is just a work deadline.
Okay, let's shift gears then. Moving to the more active strategies, flight.
Right.
This one's tricky, isn't it? Because it often wears this mask of super high productivity,
Thank you.
achievement, busyness.
Yeah, it looks like the ultimate success story from the outside. always moving, hitting milestones. But
What's really going on?
the reality is the person is running. They're running emotionally, mentally, sometimes physically, trying to avoid conflict or intimacy or even just stillness. Running lets them bypass the hard stuff, the vulnerable work of actually sitting with discomfort. The sources use that analogy of a tumbleweed.
Right, bouncing through life.
Acquiring impressive achievements, maybe, but no real roots, no anchor.
So here's a question then. How do I know if I'm in flight mode versus just being, genuinely high achieving and hardworking? What's the difference inside?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? And I think it comes down to grounding. If you're working hard, but you feel rooted, you feel energized by the commitment, you feel connected to why you're doing it, that's likely purpose-driven action.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly moving, yet inside you feel frantic, maybe emotionally unavailable, if you lose interest, the second things require real intimacy or even just rest. That's more like flight.
Because you're always running, you never actually land.
Exactly. You never commit fully to the dream because staying still feels too dangerous. You end up saying yes to the busyness, but no to your deeper purpose.
So healing flight means learning to stay.
Learning to stay long enough to build that stable internal home.
Yeah. That distinction, rooted versus frantic, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Which I guess leads us straight into the fight response. And the critical insight here, the one we really need to grasp, is that fight isn't just about anger. It's fundamentally driven by fear.
Absolutely. 100%. The nervous system is so convinced it's under attack. Its core belief is, I need to protect myself. I cannot afford to be wrong or weak or feel out of control.
And anger becomes the shield.
It's the armor, designed to push the perceived threat away before it can inflict pain.
And that fear, it shows up in behaviors that actively push people away, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. You see it in people who explode over seemingly small things like a coworker forgetting an email, maybe.
Or reacting really strongly to gentle correction. Sarcasm, maybe?
Sarcasm, aggressive pushback, or even that silent defensive withdrawal. They often project blame instantly. It's like strike first because you're terrified of being hurt second.
And the tragedy is how that poisons connection.
It really does. Think about Alvin's story from the material. Deeply loving guy, apparently, but his trauma. It just fought harder.
Constant defensiveness.
Yeah, that need to always be right. The quick sarcasm. It created this constant feeling of threat for his wife. She felt like she was walking on eggshells.
And eventually.
She left. The armor that saved him in the past, it ended up costing him his future connection. It's heartbreaking, really.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this a bit more. When we look at all four, fawn, freeze, flight, fight, it seems like they're all just really sophisticated ways of hiding.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
So how do these brilliant but ultimately costly survival strategies stop us from, being real? From actually achieving the purpose we say we want?
Well, it's because the responses are fundamentally designed to protect an identity, right? And often that identity gets tangled up in external things, like titles and labels.
Ah, okay. Titles like job titles.
Exactly. Attorney, manager, breadwinner, the good parent. We cling to these titles sometimes because we mistakenly think they are our worth.
So when we're in fawn mode, we're desperately trying to protect the title of the good employee or the loving spouse.
Precisely. And the moment that title feels threatened or worse, vanishes. Like in that story of the attorney who lost his job.
The whole sense of self just collapses.
Right. Because the worth was placed entirely in that external role, not internally.
And then there was the labels.
Those internal ideas we absorb from others. Sometimes negative ones like black sheep or failure, but sometimes they seem positive.
Like the strong one. You mentioned that label can be particularly dangerous.
It really can be. Think about Brenda's story, the overseas Filipino worker sending money home.
Right. She kept saying, okay lang ako, I'm okay.
Yeah, but inside, completely exhausted, tired, profoundly lonely. She performs strength because she believes her family only loves the strong, providing version of her.
Not the real her who cries and needs support.
Exactly. And this is such a critical realization for anyone listening. You are not your performance. Your worth isn't tied to how much you provide or how well you please others.
Wow. So the trauma response fuels the performance, which protects the label. And that whole cycle blocks our true purpose.
That's the chain reaction, yes.
So the antidote then is having people who see past all that.
Yeah.
True friends.
Yeah, that concept of armor bearers comes up. People who see past the labels, past the performance, and actually speak life into you.
They don't enable the performance.
No, they support your authentic self. They help you stand on your own when things get heavy. They remind you who you really are when those old trauma responses try to take over.
Okay, we've just laid out a lot of pretty deep inner work here. Identifying fear, naming pain, practicing honesty. That sounds like it takes massive emotional energy.
It absolutely does. Sustained effort.
So where do we even get the energy to keep doing this kind of healing work?
That is the perfect question. And it leads us to something really practical. We can talk about all the psychological steps, right? But none of these shifts are really sustainable long-term without sustained physical fuel.
Ah, interesting. So anchoring the mind's healing in the body's health.
Exactly. Eating intentionally, it stops being just about diet and becomes this profound commitment to honoring your life's work, your purpose.
I like that framing. It shifts it from a chore to, well, dedication. But hold on, before we dive deep into the fuel, let's make sure people have those concrete, immediate steps for the 4Fs. What can you do in the moment?
Right, good point. Let's make it practical. Start with freeze, because it's so paralyzing. Remember, you don't force your way out, you gently melt.
Okay.
3 steps. First, just notice it. Say it out loud, even whisper it. I think I'm freezing right now. Awareness is key.
Okay. Step 1, notice.
Step 2, ground your body. Do something physical, small. Wiggle your fingers or toes, press your feet firmly into the floor. Take 5 slow, deliberate breaths. Feel the air come in and go out.
Right, connect back to the physical self.
Exactly. And step 3, take 1 tiny action, just 1. Send 1 word in a reply, write 1 sentence, take 1 physical step. Any movement starts to break the freeze state.
Movement breaks freeze.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, what about lowering the armor of the fight response? How do we respond instead of react?
Okay, for fight, the first step is crucial. Pause. When you feel triggered, before you say or do anything, force yourself to pause and take a deep breath. Maybe several.
Create some space.
Create space. Then try to name the deeper feeling under the anger. Ask yourself, okay, am I actually hurt here? Am I embarrassed? Am I afraid of losing control? Shifting from just I'm mad to I feel scared or I feel hurt is huge.
That takes self-awareness.
It does. And finally, speak your need but don't attack. Communicate calmly. I feel ignored when is very different from you never listen.
Right. Statement about self versus accusation, and for fawn, or just that general hiding pattern. How do we practice honesty when it feels so risky?
Small doses. Honesty is a muscle you build. Every time you choose even a tiny bit of honesty over just appeasing someone, your body learns, oh, I can be real and still be safe.
So practically,
Instead of an immediate yes to a request you're unsure about, try saying, let me think about that for a bit. Or if something makes you uncomfortable, start gently. You know, I feel a little uncomfortable when this happens. It's about building trust with your authentic self, step by step.
okay, those are really helpful, concrete steps. Now back to that physical anchor you mentioned. Why is nutrition so fundamental to sustaining this emotional work?
Because your purpose needs energy. It needs stamina. Your body is literally the engine carrying your dreams forward. And if you're constantly putting in dirty fuel, lots of junk food, highly processed stuff,
You clog the engine.
you clog the engine, it causes inflammation, chronic fatigue, brain fog, all things that make deep emotional work feel impossible. Whole food, real food, that's the clean fuel your system needs for sustained psychological endurance.
You mentioned specific examples from the sources like Komoot, Mongo, Kankan.
Yeah, the point is choosing nutrient-dense, often locally available fuel, whatever gives your body that clean, steady energy. It's not about perfection, it's about intention.
That really changes the perspective, doesn't it? It makes food choices less about restriction and more about fueling what matters. Like John's story.
Exactly. The 59-year-old father facing high blood pressure, pre-diabetes.
His motivation wasn't some vague idea of health.
No, it was love. It was purpose. He said he changed his diet because he wanted, more than anything, to live long enough to walk his daughter down the aisle. That kind of dedication. That transforms daily food choices from a burden into a truly meaningful act. It's choosing your future. #outro. So when you look back at these responses, fawn, freeze, flight, fight, remember they were once your nervous system's brilliant way of keeping you alive. You weren't weak, you were surviving. But you don't have to be defined by those old patterns forever. Healing really starts when you stop the performance, look at that scared part of yourself and gently say, it's okay, You're safe now.
So if you are not your performance, not your productivity, not what everyone expects you to be, what is one truthful thing you could say today? Even if your voice shakes a little saying it, let's just take a breath together right now. But put one hand on your chest, one on your belly. Just anchor yourself right here, right now. Breathe in slowly. And as you breathe out, try to let go of some of that pressure, that need to be acceptable. And just whisper this to yourself. I am safe. I am seen. I am allowed to be me.
Thank you for listening to this summary done by our friends from Google Notebook LM. And our next episodes, our next series will be about money. How money matters to our purpose and calling. So again, see you and like and share these episodes and listen to the other episodes. Here is Be.Live.